Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Last we left off, I was showing off a 1d100 point crawl map I made, and I'm currently using in my D&D campaign, so you should go check that out. But in today's RPG sermon, we're continuing our character idea series with 1d4 epic sorcerers to play in a D&D campaign. So remember to leave a like, pay that hobby tithing, and let us pray. Idea number 1, the Dust of Kronos. You were born at exactly midnight, under the light of Kronos' comet, and as Father Time flew overhead, leaving a trail of stardust, it fell down upon you like the grains in an hourglass, giving you the ability to subtly influence time in your vicinity. So if I were playing this character, what are some things I would do to really bring out the roleplay and make them very interesting? Well, obviously, your magic is all very time-themed. So when I cast Aid on an ally, it's not just, oh, my god is blessing you, there you go, here's a bonus to your roll or a reroll or whatever. No, it's in the moment when they call upon that aid, they can maybe slow down time to dodge this lightning bolt that is moving insanely fast. They're able to, Quicksilver style get out of the way, or they can speed up time. And if there's an enemy they're fighting that's just parrying every blow that they throw at them, they're able to go so fast, they go, gotta go fast, Sonic speed style, and get a jab in and deliver a blow to get some damage in on them. If I did a spell like Wall of Force, then it's not that it's an impenetrable wall, it's that when anything moves into that area and tries to move through it, suddenly they move so slowly, it's almost imperceptible. It's as if they're not moving at all. Now, of course, they can take a step back and everything returns to normal, but I would describe it to my players, or to the, as the enemies are approaching, I would describe it in that fashion, that they almost seem to freeze in time. I think that could be really cool. So that's what I would do maybe with the spells, right? And my spellcasting focus could literally be an hourglass with maybe the sands that fell down from the heavens scooped up and placed inside it. That'd be really cool. But for role-playing, I think you could have fun with this character being very anal about time. Everything has a very specific time things are supposed to happen at. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean you're always the one who, has to be on time. Though I think that's a funny way to go about it. You're always kind of all right, we got to get going, guys. We have this meeting, or we got to get to this cave before the enemies get back, or we've got to, nightfall's coming in a few hours. We better get going. That's a great character to have at your table to push things forward. I think that would, actually, I really like that idea now that I'm describing it. But you could also go the Gandalf route, where a wizard is never late, nor are they early. They arrive precisely when they mean to, right? Everything happens for a reason because everything is predetermined in, the great timeline. You could do something kind of like that I think would be really cool. But, yeah, that's the Dust of Kronos sorcerer. Idea number 2, I call the Satyr's Drunk. This idea is you were a mortal who was befriended by or captured by some sort of fae or an archfey. Could be a satyr, could be a hag, could be whatever you want it to be. But you were brought into the fae realm with them, where you spent, as a mortal, many, many, many years drinking and partying with them and basically being their sort of drinking buddy or their jester. You could kind of frame it a couple different ways there. But ultimately, you were sent back home after they either got bored of you. I kind of like that idea a lot. Sort of very cruel for a fae, just I'm just done with you. Off you go. And you're like, what? My whole life was with you. Or maybe they were killed. If they were an evil archfey, some adventurers killed them and you were able to get back home, right? And your character kind of thought, I'm going back to my normal life, thank the gods, right? But you discovered that anytime you got drunk, a little bit of that Fey magic sort of returned to you, because the drinks that you had in the Fey realm were beyond anything that mortals could ever brew, right? So that they permanently infuse themselves into your bloodstream, right? Your blood alcohol or blood magic levels are always a little bit above average. So now, playing this character, I would envision them having brewer's supplies, right? They're proficient with that, so they're always trying to recreate some of these Fey alcohols and things like that. So that's some fun role play you could kind of do on the side. Maybe your goal is to open a tavern that is very Fey inspired, right? But then in combat, when you're casting spells, you're constantly taking swigs from your different flasks that maybe you flavored that the different types of alcohol are what help you do different types of spells. So if you want to cast a fireball, then you've got to take a swig of some sort of fire giant themed alcohol. Maybe it's, fire giant spit, and then you literally belch out a huge fireball. Or if you try to do a command spell or befriend somebody, you take a shot of a type of drink and you sort of cheers them with it or whatever, and it's sort of it gets them also a little drunk, a little tipsy to listen to your words, your influence. There's so much fun to be had with the drunk sort of take on magic and the way that those spells personify or played out at the table, right? And it works really well for the wild magic sorcerer subclass if you're playing 5e, right? You're drunk out on the battlefield, or at least a little tipsy, right? And so now anytime a spell goes wrong, it's all because of a result of some drunken shenanigans that you start causing, or some fey mischief that makes its way onto the battlefield. I think there's tons of room for this to be a hilarious character, but a word of warning, the character who's always like truly like sloppy drunk and is just like doing obnoxious things because that's what my character would do, right? Like, that's not what this is meant to be. It's meant to be more like whimsical, funny. You're almost like the butt of the joke because of your drunkenness. So that is the Satyr's drunk character. The Wagered Mage is my favorite idea of all four, and the idea is this: you are a degenerate, an addict of gambling, of alcohol, of drugs, just all the worst things that kind of have taken hold of you and ruined your life. And maybe you are a noble who comes from immense wealth that you sort of lost, or you just have grown up in the slums, just a victim of your circumstances. Whatever the case is for your backstory, how you got here is you found yourself bumping into a very interesting figure, either on the road or at the tavern, who offered you a wager: your soul for a single pull from a deck of cards. It's the deck of many things, right? And in your state, you were in no position to turn away a wager that could supposedly, from what this person told you, like, could grant your wildest wish. And you have had such a terrible string of luck in your life with all of these gambles that you've lost and things like that. You wanted to wish for some magic hands. And with nothing to lose, who cares? Like, you know, how could it get any worse? Sure, you can have my soul, right? You pull from the deck, and wouldn't you know it, your luck has finally turned, and you did get to pull the card that granted your wish, and you do have magic hands now, and that is what leads to you having sorcerer's powers. These magic hands are literally magic hands. It didn't do exactly what you wanted it to do, right? Of like, oh, I just want to have magic hands so anytime I roll the dice, or I make a bet, or I play a hand of cards, I win. That's kind of what you wanted, but it's not what you got, and it's not what this individual wanted either. And I imagine them being like a devil who's out there collecting souls from vulnerable individuals by offering them this like very stacked against them wager. And now you've got a villain, you've got a BBG out there somewhere who's furious with you and wants your soul more than anything. You're like the one bet that they lost, right? So that's really cool for the DM to work with. But then as you as the character, I love this idea of someone who was in no position to inherit such powerful magics. Not that they couldn't be redeemed, not that they don't at some point wouldn't have been able to handle this, right? But just in your state, you are probably one of the least responsible people to have these magic hands. And so your character arc is all about learning how to shed these vices of yours and become the hero that you've sort of had, like this role that's been thrusted upon you by fortune, by luck. And that's a cool message you could kind of learn from a god of luck that maybe you worship, or here's an idea, you worship them at one point, but then as your life started to go in that decline, now you've turned against them. You despise gods of luck, you think they're evil, you blame them for everything that's happened to you, and then as time goes on, they kind of start to help teach you lessons about like what you could be and how you can become a true hero and use these magic hands not just for your own benefit but for the benefit of everybody, and uplift like uplift the world, uplift the realm, right? So that everybody can be as prosperous as this demon who came and gave you a bad bet. And my final idea, the Cloned Psycher, is a little more in theme for my world of Arc that combines sci-fi and fantasy in a lot of really cool ways. So you are a vat-grown clone of a batch of 1d12 that was created from the harvested flesh of one of the realm's most powerful sorcerers, most famed, renowned sorcerers. This cult managed to get a hold of a sample of their biological data and plugged it into their machines and, spat out you. And you are not a perfect clone. This cult has not truly figured out how to use this ancient technology to create their most powerful weapon, right? The cult wants to weaponize clones of this sorcerer. And you have maybe a Deadpool style, you escaped the laboratory when a fire broke out, or maybe the sorcerer heard that there were, oh my god, I'm having a really cool idea. The sorcerer heard about the cult's plans to clone them. They showed up, destroyed the laboratory, you escaped, but not before watching the sorcerer start killing some of the other clones. This sorcerer does not trust the cult's creations and doesn't want a bunch of clones of themselves running around the realm, spoiling or tarnishing their reputation and or causing just destruction, right? They are too risky to be kept alive. So, oh, that would be such a cool villain. And they don't even have to be like an outright villain, but it's like someone wants you dead, and it's sort of up to you over the course of the campaign to prove to them or demonstrate, like, I am not what you're afraid I am. I am not a slave of this cult, right? I am my own person, despite being a clone of you. Oh my gosh, that would be so freaking cool. And so your spells are very interesting, and like you're almost just having like flashbacks, or you're recalling memories that the actual sorcerer had to be able to use these magics and perform spells that you've never done in your life, but this actual sorcerer did. So that's pretty easy. That the magic part is honestly pretty straightforward. The real value, the real fun to be had, I think, in this character is that inner conflict of, what am I? Who am I? Am I this great sorcerer? Do I have to follow the path that they've walked? Should I aspire to be just like them? Am I exactly what the cult wants me to be? Am I just this weapon to be wielded and thrown against enemies and just annihilate them? Or am I something else? And what is that? And you get to discover that over the course of the campaign. Ugh, so cool. Love this idea for the Cloned Psycher. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you liked those ideas. Hopefully it sparked something in your mind for an NPC or your next character, or just a whole campaign. Who knows? If you enjoyed this video and you want to support me in the church and help me keep doing this, there's a couple of different ways to do that. Leave a like, subscribe, all that normal stuff. You can subscribe to the church's Patreon. The lowest tier starts at $3 a month, and every Sunday I'm releasing a batch of homebrew that I've been prepping and am using in my campaign. So I mentioned at the start of the video that I released a 1d100 point crawl map. You can see there's a bunch of prep templates for you to note, like, what are these locations on the map. So that's really cool. Go check that out. Also, the Doom Stronghold Kickstarter is almost done. We are almost down to our final actually, as of today, probably when this goes up, we will be in the final 48 hours, but we passed the $5,000 stretch goal, which means all of the zines will have this ribbon bookmark. So, I don't know why I'm holding it this way, but in the Martyred zine, kind of the special edition one, it came with a ribbon bookmark, but now all of the zines are going to get that, and the Martyrs will have 2. And it's just full of random tables to help you generate strongholds for your characters to explore or to claim for their own, and you can build little mini adventures around them. So go check that out before it's too late, right? Go pledge that. And other than that, thank you all again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we say these things in their unholy names. Amen.